The small shuttle raced through space, pushing its engines beyond their limits. Inside, Soman piloted while Jiwoo and Dr. Park secured the containers of cure. Daehyun bought us some time, Soman said, checking the radar. But 2 Congress ships broke away from the others. They're following us. How long until we reach TRAPPIST-2E? Dr. Park asked. 4 hours if we maintain this speed, Soman replied. The Congress ships will catch us in 3. Jiwoo moved to the communication console. Then we need to broadcast now while we still can. Dr. Park nodded in agreement. The scientific emergency channel will reach most research stations and universities. From there, the news will spread. They worked quickly to prepare the broadcast. Jiwoo compiled all their evidence, including the security footage from the old council, the files from Europa, and Dr. Park's research data. Dr. Park herself would present the story, explaining not only what had happened 2 centuries ago, but what was happening now. Ready to transmit, Jiwoo announced. Dr. Park took a deep breath. After 200 years of hiding, she was about to reveal herself to the galaxy. Begin transmission. Her face appeared on screens across thousands of worlds as she spoke directly to the camera. My name is Dr. Hana Park. For 2 centuries, you have been told that I created the Great Plague that nearly destroyed our civilization. Today, I am here to tell you the truth. Clearly and simply, she explained how the original council had developed. The plague is a weapon, how she had refused to help them, and how they had framed her when it was accidentally released. She showed the evidence they had gathered, including the footage of her arguing with council members. The plague never truly ended, she continued. The council's so-called cure merely forced the virus into dormancy, where it has remained inside every living being for 200 years. Now, the new Galactic Congress, led by descendants of the original council, has begun reactivating the virus, starting with human colonies and worlds that oppose their policies. She held up a container of the blue liquid. This is the true cure, one that will completely eliminate the virus, not just suppress it. I've spent 2 centuries developing it. The formula is being transmitted now on a separate channel. Every world with medical manufacturing facilities can produce it. Every atmospheric processor can distribute it. As she spoke, Jiwoo monitored communications from across the galaxy. It's working, he said excitedly. Research stations are confirming receipt of the data. They're already analyzing and verifying it. And people are sharing it, Somin added, checking her own screen. The Congress is trying to block the transmission, but it's spreading too quickly. Dr. Park concluded her message. The Congress ships pursuing us are trying to prevent this truth from reaching you. They may succeed in stopping us, but they cannot stop all of you. The cure belongs to everyone now. The truth belongs to everyone. Use them both to ensure this never happens again. The transmission ended. For a moment, the 3 of them sat in silence, aware of the magnitude of what they had just done. Then the shuttle shook violently. Energy weapon, Soman reported, fighting with the controls. The Congress ships are in range. Another blast rocked the shuttle, damaging one of the engines. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. We can't outrun them with a damaged engine, Soman said. Jiwoo looked at the star map. There's a small moon in this system. If we can reach it, maybe we can hide long enough for help to arrive. What makes you think help will come? Dr. Park asked. Because people know the truth now, Jiwoo said with conviction, and they know we have the cure. Soman adjusted their course toward the moon. The shuttle limped forward, taking occasional hits from the pursuing ships. Just as they were about to reach the moon's protective shadow, a final blast disabled their remaining engine. We're dead in space, Somin announced grimly. The comm system suddenly came alive with a new voice. Attention, shuttle. This is Captain Mina of the Earth Defense Vessel Horizon. We've received your broadcast. Hold position. Assistance is incoming. Through the viewport, they watched in amazement as 3 sleek ships appeared, positioning themselves between the shuttle and the Congress vessels. Earth ships, Soman whispered. They came for us. More ships appeared, not just from Earth, but bearing markings of the independent colonies, and even some Congress member worlds whose people had seen the broadcast and chosen to act. The Congress fleet is retreating, Captain Mina reported. Prepare for docking, we'll get you and the cure to safety. In the days that followed, events moved with astonishing speed. The independent colonies began producing and distributing the cure immediately. Many Congress worlds, learning the truth about their leaders, rebelled against their authority. Congress tried to maintain control by threatening military action, but their forces were increasingly divided as more ship captains and crews refused to fire on civilian targets. On Nexus Station, several representatives demanded an emergency session to investigate Dr. Park's claims. Evidence that had been hidden for centuries suddenly surfaced as Congress officials, fearing punishment, rushed to save themselves by revealing what they knew. Dr. Park, Jiwoo, and Soman were brought to Earth, where they worked with scientists to mass-produce the cure. Within a week, it had been distributed to every major world. The second wave of the plague was halted before it could reach the devastating levels of the first. 2 weeks after their broadcast, they received news that Daehyun had survived. His diplomatic vessel had been captured, not destroyed. He was being returned to Earth as part of a prisoner exchange agreement. When they met him at the spaceport, he embraced each of them warmly. "You did it," he said to Dr. Park. "The truth is known. The cure is working. The Congress is falling apart." "What happens now?" Jiwoo asked. "Representatives from 200 worlds are meeting on Earth next month," Daehyun explained. "They're forming a new alliance, one based on transparency and cooperation. They've asked Dr. Park to address the opening session." Dr. Park looked surprised. "After centuries of being vilified, they want to hear from me." "You're the hero of the Ye Galaxy now," Somin said, smiling. "The woman who saved everyone twice." Dr. Park shook her head. "I didn't save anyone alone. Without all of you, the truth would still be buried, and the cure would still be locked away in that facility." 1 month later, Dr. Park stood before representatives from across the galaxy. Unlike the cold, imposing chamber of the Congress, this meeting took place in a circular room with natural light streaming through large windows. Everyone sat at the same level, with no raised platforms to separate leaders from others. 200 years ago, Dr. Park began. A terrible mistake led to unimaginable suffering. Then, a deliberate lie extended that suffering for generations. Today, we have a chance to truly heal, not just from the plague that infected our bodies, but from the distrust that infected our societies. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of humans and aliens alike. The old council believed power came from control, from the ability to hurt others. They saw differences between our species as reasons to divide us. But our differences are actually our strength. Each of our worlds has something unique to offer, some special insight or ability. The plague showed us how connected we all are, how the suffering of one world inevitably affects all others. Now let our healing show us the same truth in a better way. Let it remind us that we share one galaxy, one future. As she spoke, ships around the galaxy were distributing the last batches of the cure. The dormant virus that had hidden in living beings for centuries was being eradicated forever. In its place, a new understanding was growing, a recognition that the old divisions no longer made sense. The galaxy forgot the plague, Dr. Park said in closing, or at least tried to forget the pain it caused. But some things should not be forgotten. We must remember the cost of secrets, the danger of unchecked power, and the value of truth. She looked at Jiwoo, Soman, and Daehyun, who sat in the front row. And we must remember that even one person who refuses to accept injustice can eventually change everything. The new alliance took shape over the following months. Earth and the other human worlds joined as equal members. Their long isolation finally ended. The atmospheric processor network that had once been used to spread the dormant virus was repurposed to monitor environmental conditions across all inhabited worlds, with the data freely shared. Dr. Park established an open medical research initiative, bringing together scientists from every species to ensure that knowledge would never again be hoarded or weaponized. She lived for another 20 years, long, enough to see the scars of the plague era begin to heal. On the day of her funeral, Ships from 2,000 worlds gathered in Earth orbit to pay respects. The ceremony was simple, just as she would have wanted. Her body was laid to rest beside a monument that bore a single inscription: "She saved us with truth when lies had nearly destroyed us all." The galaxy had indeed forgotten the plague, but it would never forget Hannah Park. "We need to move quickly," Dr. Park said, her voice stronger now as the revival medicines took effect. "The outbreaks on the human colonies are just the beginning." Ji-woo helped her to a nearby workstation where she immediately began analyzing data. Despite her 2 centuries in cryosleep, her hands moved confidently across the controls. "How bad will it be?" Somin asked, watching over her shoulder. "Worse than before," Dr. Park replied grimly. "The dormant virus has had 200 years to integrate with the genetic structure of every living being. When fully activated, it will be more efficient than the original plague." Dae-hyun received another message on his communication device. His face darkened as he read it. "The Congress is claiming that humans have released a new biological weapon. They're calling for the immediate quarantine of all human worlds, including Earth." "History repeating itself exactly as they planned," Ji-woo said bitterly. Dr. Park looked up from her work. "Not exactly the same. This time we know the truth from the beginning, and I've had 2 centuries to prepare." She pulled up a complex molecular diagram on the main screen. "This is the original cure I developed before the Council captured me. It works by breaking down the virus completely, not just forcing it into dormancy like the Council's version." "Will it still work against this new outbreak?" Salman asked. Dr. Park frowned. "Not in its current form. The virus has evolved. I need to update the formula." She turned to Ji-woo. "I need blood samples from all of you. The dormant virus is inside. You and I need to see exactly what changes they've made to activate it." As they provided the samples, Dae-hyun continued monitoring news broadcasts. "The outbreaks are spreading beyond human colonies now. 2 worlds in the Orion sector are reporting cases." "Non-human worlds?" Dr. Park asked sharply. Dae-hyun nodded. "Worlds that have been opposing Congress policies recently." "Then it's not just about humans this time," Dr. Park said. "They're using the second wave to eliminate all opposition." She returned to her analysis with renewed urgency. Hours passed as Dr. Park worked. Occasionally, she would ask for help preparing compounds or running simulations. Ji-woo and Somin assisted while Dae-hyun maintained communication with his remaining allies on Earth. "Congress ships are gathering near Earth's orbital defenses," he reported. "Our fleet is outnumbered 10 to 1. "What about the other colonies?" Ji-woo asked. "Some are already under attack. The Congress is claiming they're conducting medical intervention to contain the outbreak." Dae-hyun's voice was tight with anger. "In reality, they're seizing control of our outposts one by one." Dr. Park suddenly straightened, her eyes bright with excitement. "I've found it. The activation signal they're using to trigger the dormant virus." She displayed a complex pattern on the screen. "It's a specific radiation frequency broadcast from their ships. When living cells are exposed to this frequency, the dormant virus becomes active." "Can you block it?" Somin asked. "Better than that," Dr. Park said. "I can reverse it. This new cure will not only neutralize the active virus, but eliminate the dormant version completely. No one will ever be able to use this weapon again." She began synthesizing the cure, using equipment that had waited patiently for 2 centuries for exactly this moment. "The challenge will be distribution," she explained as she worked. "We need to release this cure throughout the galaxy quickly, before the Congress realizes what we're doing." "The atmospheric processors," Dae-hyun suggested. "Every habitable world has them, adjusting air composition to maintain proper oxygen levels. If we could introduce the cure into those systems..." "That's perfect," Dr. Park agreed. "But all the processors are controlled by the Congress Central Network on Nexus Station." Ji-woo looked thoughtful. "Not all of them. Remember, Dr. Park's outpost has been operating independently for centuries. There must be others." "The independent colonies," Somin realized. "The ones that broke away from Congress control after the first plague. They maintain their own atmospheric systems." Dae-hyun nodded excitedly. and they've formed a trade network that connects to nearly every world in the galaxy, Congress-controlled or not. If we can get the cure to them, we need to make contact, Jiwoo said. Can your diplomatic channels reach them, Daehyun? Not directly. The Congress monitors all official communications, but I know someone who can help. He turned to Dr. Park. How quickly can you produce enough of the cure for distribution? The synthesizers here can make enough for one world in about 6 hours, she answered, but we need enough for thousands of worlds. We don't need to make all of it here, Soman pointed out, just enough to prove it works, along with the formula. The independent colonies have their own production facilities. While Dr. Park continued working on the cure, Daehyun made contact with his secret ally through encrypted channels. Hours later, they received a response. The independent colony on TRAPPIST-2E will help us, Daehyun announced. They've suffered Congress oppression for generations and have been expecting another power grab like this. They have representatives on 27 worlds who can help distribute the cure. That's not enough, Dr. Park said. We need to reach every world. Jiwoo had been quiet for some time, thinking deeply. Now he spoke up. What if we don't try to hide what we're doing? What if we tell everyone the truth? The others looked at him in surprise. The Congress has maintained control through secrecy, he explained. They've hidden the truth about the first plague for centuries. But what if everyone knew what they've done? What if we broadcast Dr. Park's story to the entire galaxy? The Congress controls all major communication networks, Daehyun objected. Not all of them, Soman said, warming to Jiwoo's idea. The Scientific Emergency Channel is still independent. It was established after the first plague as a way for researchers to share critical information without political interference. It's still active, Dr. Park confirmed. This facility is connected to it. But will anyone believe us? The Congress has spent 2 centuries painting humans as the villains. They'll believe the evidence, Jiwoo said confidently. And more importantly, they'll believe you. Everyone knows the name Hana Park. For 2 centuries, they've been told you created the plague. When they see you alive, explaining how you've been working all this time to save them, while the Congress has been planning to use the plague as a weapon again, Dr. Park nodded slowly. It might work. The timing would have to be perfect. We broadcast the truth while simultaneously distributing the cure through the independent colonies. They spent the next day preparing. Dr. Park completed the cure and prepared detailed instructions for its production. Daehyun coordinated with the independent colonies, arranging for distribution. Jiwoo and Soman gathered all the evidence they had collected, organizing it for the broadcast. Just as they were making final preparations, an alarm sounded throughout the facility. Multiple ships approaching, the computer announced. Congress military vessels. They've found us, Soman said, checking the scanners. 6 warships. They'll be in orbit within an hour. We need more time, Dr. Park said urgently. The cure isn't fully synthesized yet. I'll buy us time, Daehyun decided, heading for the Phoenix Dawn. I still have diplomatic codes. I can delay them, make them follow proper protocols for approaching a diplomat's vessel. It's too dangerous, Jiwoo protested. Daehyun's expression was resolute. 200 years ago, the Council sacrificed billions to maintain their power. Today, we have a chance to make that right. Whatever it takes, Dr. Park's cure must reach the galaxy. As Daehyun departed in the diplomatic vessel, Dr. Park worked faster, filling container after container with the precious cure. Jiwoo and Somin prepared the broadcast, carefully checking every piece of evidence. The first batch is ready, Dr. Park announced finally, sealing a large container of shimmering blue liquid. This is enough to protect one world, with the formula for making more. Outside, they could see distant flashes of light in the sky as Daehyun's ship engaged with the Congress vessels. We need to leave now, Soman urged. There's a small emergency shuttle in the lower level. It's not fast, but it can get us to TRAPPIST-2E. As they hurried toward the shuttle carrying the precious containers of cure, Jiwoo took one last look at the facility that had protected Dr. Park for centuries. The truth will save us, he said quietly. Just as you always intended. Dr. Park nodded, her eyes bright with determination. The galaxy forgot the plague, but after today it will never forget what really happened, and it will never happen again. The Phoenix Dawn cut through space, its diplomatic markings keeping most patrol ships at a distance. Inside, Dae-hyun sat at the control panel, his diplomatic override codes having gotten them safely away from Nexus Station. "They'll realize we're gone soon," he said, checking the radar. "These codes won't protect us for long." Someone studied the navigation charts. "The Europa facility is too obvious. They'll have it completely secured by now." Ji-woo nodded in agreement. Dr. Park wouldn't have kept all her research in one place anyway. Not if she was as careful as she seems. He pulled out the data drive they had taken from Dae-hyun's office. "Let's look at everything we have." They reviewed the files together. Most were damaged or incomplete, but one kept appearing in Dr. Park's notes. Kepler 22b. "It's a planet about 600 light-years from Earth," Dae-hyun explained. "Discovered long before the plague. It was one of the first Earth-like worlds humans found." Dr. Park's notes mention a medical research outpost there, Ji-woo said, reading from the screen. Apparently it was built in secret, away from the Council's monitoring. Could she have gone there instead of Europa? So-min wondered. Ji-woo continued reading. According to this, the outpost was designed to be self-sustaining. It had automated defense systems that would keep it running for centuries if necessary. "That's where we need to go," Dae-hyun decided, setting the new coordinates. "It's a risk, but it's our best hope." The journey to Kepler 22b took 3 days. They had to change course several times to avoid Congress patrol ships that seemed to be searching specifically for them. News broadcasts reported increasing tensions between Earth and the Congress, with military vessels gathering near human colonies. "They're using us as an excuse," Dae-hyun said bitterly as they watched the reports. "Creating a crisis to distract from what we've discovered." When they finally reached Kepler 22b, they were greeted by a beautiful blue-green world with swirling, white clouds. It looked remarkably like Earth, but with larger oceans and smaller continents. "No signs of settlements on the surface," So-min said, checking the sensors. "But I'm detecting a small energy signature near the northern hemisphere. Could be the outpost." They landed in a clearing surrounded by tall, purple-leaved trees. The air was breathable but had a slightly sweet smell. They followed the energy signature to what looked like a blank rock face at the base of a cliff. "There's nothing here," Dae-hyun said in frustration. Ji-woo approached the rock wall carefully. The defense systems Dr. Park mentioned must include camouflage. He placed his hand against the stone. Nothing happened. "Maybe it needs specific access. Codes," So-min suggested. "Or maybe," Ji-woo said thoughtfully, "it's like the Europa facility. It responds to human DNA." He pricked his finger with a small knife and let a drop of blood fall onto the rock. The stone surface rippled like water, revealing a metal door that slid open silently. "She designed it to recognize humans, not specific humans," Ji-woo explained, as they entered. "She wanted any human who found this place to have access even centuries later." The outpost was small but pristine, as if it had been cleaned just yesterday. Automated systems had kept everything in perfect condition. Lights came on as they walked through the corridors, and the air felt fresh and filtered. "This place was built to last," Dae-hyun observed, running his hand along a smooth wall. They reached a circular room with a large computer console in the center. When Ji-woo touched it, a holographic display appeared, showing a rotating model of a DNA strand. "Welcome," said a computerized voice. "Please state the nature of your visit." Ji-woo hesitated, then said, "We're looking for Dr. Hana Park." The DNA strand disappeared, replaced by a map of the facility. A pulsing red dot appeared deeper inside the structure. "Follow the guidance system," the voice instructed. The red dot projected onto the floor, leading them through more corridors until they reached a sealed door marked with a medical symbol. "Genetic verification required for further access," the computer announced. All 3 of them placed their hands on the scanner. The door unlocked with a soft click. Inside was a large room filled with medical equipment. At the center stood a single, cryogenic chamber, more advanced than the one they had seen on Europa. This one was connected to multiple monitoring systems, all showing active readings. It's not just preserving her, Soman said in awe. It's keeping her alive and monitoring her health. Jiwoo approached the chamber carefully. Unlike the one on Europa, this pod had a clear top that showed the person inside clearly. Dr. Hana Park lay peacefully, looking exactly as she had in the recording. She appeared to be sleeping rather than frozen. Why 2 pods? Daehyun wondered. Why not just stay in the one on Europa? A decoy, Jiwoo realized. She left evidence on Europa to lead people like us here, but she also knew the council might find it eventually. So she left a dummy pod there, while she hid her real self here. The computer spoke again. Revival sequence available. Do you wish to initiate? They looked at each other. We came all this way, Soman said. We have to wake her. Initiating revival sequence, the computer announced when Jiwoo gave the command. Please stand clear. Process will take approximately 30 minutes. As they waited, Daehyun checked a small communication device he had brought from his office. No good news, he reported grimly. The Congress has officially accused Earth of harboring biological weapons, the same charge they once leveled against Dr. Park. They're demanding inspections of all human worlds. History repeating itself, Jiwoo said. A soft beeping sound drew their attention back to the pod. The top was slowly lifting, releasing a cloud of vapor. Dr. Park's fingers twitched slightly. Her vital signs are stabilizing, Soman said, looking at the monitors. Brain activity is increasing. She's waking up. Dr. Park's eyes opened. She blinked several times, then focused on the 3 faces staring down at her. She didn't seem surprised or frightened, only curious. You found me, she said, her voice hoarse from long disuse. What year is it? 2437, Jiwoo told her. You've been asleep for over 200 years. Dr. Park slowly sat up, assisted by Soman. Longer than I expected. The system was programmed to wake me if it detected the plague's resurgence. She looked at them with sudden concern. Has it returned? No, Daehyun answered. But those who created it are still in power, still blaming humanity for their actions. Dr. Park nodded, as if this confirmed something she had long suspected. Help me to the computer, she requested. They supported her as she made her way to the console. Her muscles were weak, but her mind seemed sharp. She accessed files that hadn't been visible to them before. The plague was engineered by the Council's military division, she explained as she worked. They wanted a weapon they could control, one that could target specific species while leaving others unharmed. I was brought in to help develop protective measures for the Council races. Images and documents appeared on the screen, showing the original virus design. When I realized what they were planning, I refused to continue. They threatened me, then threatened Earth. I pretended to cooperate while secretly developing a true cure that would work for all species, not just the ones the Council deemed valuable. She pulled up another file showing complex molecular structures. Before they could use the weapon, someone within their ranks, I never discovered who, released it prematurely. It spread to all worlds, including those the Council had meant to protect. Their targeted weapon became an indiscriminate killer. And they blamed you, Jiwoo said. Dr. Park nodded. They needed a scapegoat. A human was the perfect choice. Few would question it. She turned to face them fully. But the worst part is what they did next. The Council developed a partial cure, one that protected mainly their own species, while allowing the virus to go dormant in others. They distributed it widely, claiming they had saved the galaxy from human treachery. Dormant? Daehyun asked with alarm. You mean, the plague never truly ended, Dr. Park confirmed. It's still present in nearly all living beings across the galaxy, but in a form that doesn't cause illness, at least not yet. Could it become active again? Soman asked. Dr. Park's expression became grim. That was always their plan, a sleeping weapon inside every living thing, one they could trigger whenever they needed to eliminate opposition. She turned back to the computer. That's why the system woke me. Not because the plague has returned, but because someone is preparing to use it again. A warning alert suddenly blared from the communication device Daehyun carried. "Emergency broadcast from Earth," he said, reading the message with growing horror. "Outbreaks of an unknown disease reported on 3 human colonies. Congress ships have established quarantine blockades." "It's beginning," Dr. Park said quietly. "The second wave." "Keep your hands where we can see them," ordered the tall, blue-skinned officer. His uniform bore the insignia of the new Galactic Congress Security Force. Jiwoo and Soman stood with their backs against the wall as 6 armed officers entered the Europa facility. They had managed to seal the hidden chamber containing Dr. Park's cryopod, making it look like part of the wall. For now, at least, her secret was safe. "What is your business here?" demanded the officer. "We're researchers," Jiwoo answered calmly. "Studying pre-plague human settlements on Europa." The officer looked at his scanner. "Your ship's log shows you came from an abandoned station near Proxima Centauri. That area is restricted." "We didn't know," Soman said. "Our university gave us the coordinates as part of our research route." The officer didn't seem convinced. "You will come with us to Nexus Station for questioning. Your ship and all research materials will be confiscated." They had no choice but to comply. As they were led out, Jiwoo managed to slip his small data drive into a hidden pocket in his boot. All their other equipment, including the tablet with Dr. Park's files, was taken. Nexus Station was the political center of the reformed galactic community. Built 50 years after the plague, it served as the headquarters for the new Galactic Congress. As their transport ship docked, Jiwoo and Soman got their first look at the massive structure through the viewport. "It's enormous," Soman whispered. "And notice the design," Jiwoo replied quietly. "It's almost identical to the old council citadel that was destroyed during the plague. They rebuilt it exactly the same. They were separated upon arrival." Jiwoo was placed in a small holding room for what felt like hours. Finally, the door opened, and a human man in formal diplomatic attire entered. "My name is Daehyun," he said, sitting across from Jiwoo. "I am Earth's ambassador to the Congress. I've been asked to speak with you before your formal hearing." "Hearing? We haven't done anything wrong," Jiwoo protested. Daehyun's expression was serious. "You were found in a restricted area after accessing classified historical records. That's enough to cause concern." He leaned forward. "Tell me what you really found." Jiwoo studied the man's face, trying to decide if he could be trusted. "Why should I tell you anything?" "Because I'm the only ally you have here," Daehyun replied. "Do you know how hard I've worked to improve humanity's standing? For 10 years I've fought against prejudice, negotiated better terms for Earth's colonies, and slowly built trust. Whatever you've discovered could undo all of that. Or it could change everything for the better," Jiwoo countered. After a moment's hesitation, he reached down and removed the data drive from his boot. "The truth about Dr. Hana Park. The plague wasn't her fault. She was framed by the old council." Daehyun's eyes widened. "That's a dangerous claim." "It's the truth. I have proof." The ambassador was quiet for a long moment. "If what you say is true, it would rewrite history. But it would also threaten powerful people who have built their careers on the old narrative." "People in the Congress?" Daehyun nodded. "Several current members come from families that held power in the old council. They've maintained their influence by controlling the story of how the plague began." He stood up. "Your hearing is in 1 hour. Say nothing about Dr. Park yet. Let me see what I can do." The hearing took place in a circular chamber with seats rising in tiers around the edges. Representatives from 27 species were present. Jiwoo and Soman stood in the center, reunited but surrounded by guards. A tall, thin alien with gray skin and 6 fingers on each hand spoke first. "I am Chairperson Zali. This informal hearing will determine if formal charges should be brought against these humans for violations of historical preservation laws and unauthorized access to restricted areas." Daehyun stepped forward. "Honorable Chairperson, as Earth's representative, I request that all evidence be presented before any judgment is made." Zali nodded reluctantly. "The evidence will be displayed." A large screen showed footage of Jiwoo and Soman at the space station and the Europa facility. Then it showed the files they had accessed, including Dr. Park's recording. Murmurs filled the chamber as Dr. Park's face appeared and her voice declared her innocence. Jiwoo watched the reactions carefully. Some representatives seemed shocked, others angry, and a few, most worryingly, showed no surprise at all. When the recording ended, chaos erupted. "This is human propaganda," shouted one representative. "The evidence must be examined," called another. Chairperson Zali raised all 12 fingers for silence. "These are serious allegations that must be investigated properly. The humans will remain in custody while we authenticate this material." "With respect," Daehyun interjected, "these researchers have made a historical discovery that deserves fair examination. The files should be analyzed by an independent committee with representatives from all member worlds, including Earth." A representative with thick, leathery skin stood up. "The human civilization has always tried to shift blame for the plague. This is simply their latest attempt to rewrite history." "Is the Congress afraid of the truth?" Soman suddenly asked, her voice carrying across the chamber. If Dr. Park was guilty, proving it again should be simple. The chamber fell silent. "Very well," Zali finally said. "A committee will be formed. Until then, the humans will remain under Ambassador Daehyun's supervision but may not leave Nexus Station." As they left the chamber, Daehyun whispered to Jiwoo and Soman, "That went better than expected, but we're not safe. Meet me in my office in 1 hour. Use the diplomatic corridor. The access code is 7294. Later, in the relative privacy of the ambassador's office, Daehyun locked the door and activated a small device on his desk. "Anti-surveillance," he explained. "Now we can talk freely, but only for a few minutes." He looked at them seriously. "You didn't tell me everything. There's more to your discovery than the recording." Jiwoo glanced at Soman, who nodded slightly. "Dr. Park is alive, in cryosleep, hidden in that facility on Europa." Daehyun sat down heavily. "After 200 years, how is that possible?" "Advanced cryogenics," Soman said. "The pod was designed to keep her preserved indefinitely. She must have gone into hiding, knowing the council would fake her execution to satisfy the public. We need to go back and wake her," Jiwoo insisted. "She's the only one who can prove what really happened." "Impossible," Daehyun said. "The Congress has already sent ships to secure the Europa facility. They'll find her." "Unless they already have," Samin suggested. "You saw how some of those representatives reacted to the recording. They weren't surprised by what Dr. Park said. They were surprised that we found it." Daehyun's expression darkened. "You're right. Some of them must know the truth." He turned to his computer and began typing rapidly. "I'm going to access the station's historical archives. If the old council framed Dr. Park, there might be records here." While Daehyun worked, Soman wandered to the window that overlooked the station's central plaza. "Something's happening," she said. "Look, military vessels were docking at the station. Troops in Congress uniforms marched through the plaza below. Those aren't regular security forces," Daehyun said, joining her at the window. "Those are the elite guard. They only deploy for major threats." He turned back to his computer. "I found something. Security footage from the old council citadel, dated 3 days before the plague was first reported." The footage showed Dr. Park being escorted by armed guards into a laboratory. She was arguing with a council member whose face was just out of frame. "I won't do it," they heard Dr. Park say clearly. "Your containment protocol is just an excuse for targeted elimination. You're going to kill millions," the council member replied, but his voice was too distorted to understand. This proves she was fighting against them, not working for them, Jiwoo said excitedly. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the station. "Attention all residents," a voice announced. "By order of the Congress Security Council, Nexus Station is now under lockdown. All civilians must return to their quarters immediately." Daehyun's communication device beeped. He checked the message, and his face paled. "Earth's defense fleet has been put on high alert. The Congress is claiming we're preparing for aggression." "They're creating a distraction," Somin realized. Using Earth as a scapegoat again while they cover up the truth about Dr. Park. Jiwoo looked determined. We need to find Dr. Park before they do. She's the only one who can stop this. It's too dangerous, Daehyun argued. The station is locked down. All ships are grounded. Soman smiled slightly. Not all ships. I noticed a diplomatic vessel in the ambassador's bay. With your access codes, we could take it. That would be an act of treason, Daehyun said. Staying silent while they start another war would be worse, Jiwoo replied. Outside, they could hear boots marching down the corridor toward the office. Daehyun stared at them for a long moment, then handed Soman a small card. Docking Bay 7. The ship is called Phoenix Dawn. He quickly downloaded the security footage to a portable drive. I'm coming with you. The truth has been buried long enough. The ancient space station creaked as it orbited Proxima Centauri. Inside, floating dust particles caught the dim emergency lights that had somehow stayed on for over 2 centuries. Jiwoo pushed himself through the narrow corridor, his breathing loud inside his helmet. Are you sure about this? Soman's voice crackled through his comm. She had stayed behind on their small research vessel, monitoring his vital signs and keeping their escape route clear. I have to be, Jiwoo replied, his eyes scanning the faded markings on the walls. The university would never approve an expedition based on a hunch, but these coordinates were encrypted in those old transmission logs for a reason. 200 years had passed since the Great Galactic Plague nearly wiped out all intelligent life in the Milky Way. Most of the records from that time had been lost when interstellar civilization collapsed. The few surviving accounts all agreed on one thing. A human scientist named Dr. Hannah Park had created the deadly plague as a weapon. The Galactic Council had executed her for crimes against all sentient beings. It was the reason humans remained second-class citizens in the slowly rebuilding galactic community. It was why Earth's resources were heavily taxed, why human colonies were limited, why ambassadors from Earth were treated with cold politeness at best. Jiwoo had never believed the official story. As a xenoarchaeologist specializing in the pre-plague era, he had spent years studying the fragments of history that remained. The timeline didn't make sense. The outbreak had started in the Orion sector, far from any human outpost at that time. And why would a medical researcher create a disease that affected humans as badly as other species? His light beam revealed a sealed door at the end of the corridor. The control panel beside it was dead, but Jiwoo came prepared. He attached a small device to the panel and waited while it bypassed the ancient security systems. Any sign of movement out there? He asked. All clear so far, Soman answered. But we shouldn't stay long. This system is technically a neutral zone, but the new Galactic Congress has been sending more patrols lately. The door slid open with a painful grinding noise. Jiwoo entered what appeared to be a small medical lab. Most of the equipment was destroyed, but the data storage units built into the walls might still hold information. He connected his tablet and began the download process. I found something, he said after several minutes of searching through corrupted files. This station belonged to a private research foundation. They were working with Dr. Park about a month before the plague outbreak. Does it say what they were working on? That's the strange part. According to these notes, she was developing a universal vaccine, something that could adapt to different species' biologies. Jiwoo frowned as he continued reading. There's a message here, marked urgent. It says, Council representatives arrived today. They've taken control of the research. This goes against everything we stand for. HP has refused to cooperate. I fear for her safety. Soman's voice became serious. Jiwoo, I'm picking up an energy signature heading this way. Large vessel, Congress markings. I need more time, he said, scrolling faster through the data. There's something about a secret facility on Europa. Coordinates. Got them. Jiwoo, they're scanning the station. You need to leave now. He disconnected his tablet and headed back toward the airlock. Why would they care about an abandoned station after 2 centuries? Maybe for the same reason you do, Soman replied. Some secrets are worth protecting forever. As Jiwoo reached their ship and Somin prepared for departure, a transmission came through on all frequencies. Unidentified vessel, a stern voice announced. This is Captain Taiho of the Congress Enforcement Division. You are in violation of Heritage Protection Code 573. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Soman muted their comm. Heritage Protection? This station isn't on any protection. List. Jiwoo strapped himself into the co-pilot seat. They don't want to protect it, they want to make sure nobody finds what I just found. What do we do? Set course for Europa, Jiwoo decided. We might only get one chance at this. Soman's hands flew over the controls. Their ship is bigger but slower. If we make the jump to light speed before they get in tractor beam range, the stars blurred as their small vessel leaped forward, narrowly escaping the Congress ship. 3 days later, they approached the Jupiter system, staying hidden among the heavy shipping traffic that supplied Earth's thriving colonies on several of Jupiter's moons. Europa, with its icy surface and subsurface ocean, had been one of the first places humans had established a permanent presence outside Earth. The coordinates led them to an abandoned research facility built into the ice, officially listed as an early water purification plant that had been shut down a century ago. This doesn't make sense, Soman said as they suited up. The plague started 200 years ago. Why build a facility here 50 years after Dr. Park was already executed? Maybe she wasn't, Jiwoo replied. The facility appeared empty but was in surprisingly good condition. Unlike the space station, the systems here were merely in hibernation mode, not dead. Jiwoo activated the main computer. Access denied, the system announced. Biometric verification required. Jiwoo placed his hand on the scanner. To his surprise, the screen turned green. Human DNA recognized. Welcome, researcher. It was programmed to allow any human access, he whispered. The main screen displayed a simple directory with a single video file labeled, "For When They Come Looking." With a shaking hand, Jiwoo opened it. The face of a middle-aged Korean woman appeared. She looked tired but determined. My name is Dr. Hana Park. If you're watching this, you've begun to question the story they've told about me and about the plague. Good. The truth has waited long enough. Soman moved closer to the screen, her eyes wide. I never created the plague, Dr. Park continued. I discovered it. The Galactic Council had been experimenting with biological weapons in secret, testing them on remote outposts. I was brought in when they couldn't control their creation. When I learned the truth, I tried to warn the galaxy. For that, they blamed me. She leaned forward, her gaze intense. They will tell you I was executed. Another lie. With help from council members who still had a conscience, I escaped. My death was staged. The plague wasn't an accident. It was released deliberately, when several worlds threatened to expose the council's weapons program. I've hidden the evidence here along with my research toward a true cure. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Proximity alert, the computer announced. Multiple vessels detected in orbit. Soman checked her handheld scanner. Congress, ships, at least 5 of them. On the screen, Dr. Park's image seemed to look right at them. They've never stopped looking for me or for anyone who discovers the truth. Be careful. The galaxy forgot about the plague, but powerful people never forgot about me. The recording ended. Jiwoo quickly downloaded all the files he could access. We need to go, Soman urged, heading toward the exit. Wait, Jiwoo said, noticing a sealed door at the back of the room that had begun to open. There's something else here. They approached cautiously, their helmet lights illuminating a small chamber beyond. Inside was a single cryogenic pod, its status lights glowing green. Jiwoo wiped frost from the clear top panel and gasped. Inside was Dr. Hana Park, exactly as she appeared in the video, suspended in frozen sleep. She wasn't just a historical figure from the distant past, she was here, preserved and waiting. She's alive, Soman whispered. The facility shook as something heavy landed on the surface above them. And they've come to make sure she never wakes up, Jiwoo said grimly.